Hey y'all, it's Jimmy Stovall. Welcome to my podcast, Ribbon with Jimmy. Whether I'm in the restaurant or on TV, one of my favorite things is talking to people and hearing their stories. And I believe the best way to have a great conversation is over a meal. Today I've got Justin Patrick here, the kayak fisherman. Good, how are you?
Good, man.
Good, I know, I've never met you.
No, this was the first time, yeah.
I know, and I was sorry I was in a meeting earlier when you walked in, but
That's all right.
I'm super glad to have you. And we did just talk a couple minutes about kind of how it flows with, I think the best way to have a conversation with somebody is sharing a meal with them. And so being here at Corky's, I start with the sausage and cheese plate, so you can dig in anytime.
Yeah.
I love the sausage and cheese plate. It's probably my go-to.
Yeah, you brought out the right stuff.
Did I?
You're
Okay,
talking my
good.
language here.
Here you go, right here.
Okay.
So, to me, this is like, being at a party or whatever. You can just kind of pick up what you want. And it's not,
You can't go
it's
wrong
like
with
finger food. And
Can't go wrong with cheese, man.
that's exactly. And the sauce, pickles, I love, and the dry rub. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's what I go for.
I will try this sucker out right
Yeah, go ahead. So while you're doing that, I'm going to kind of brag on you just a little bit and kind of give everybody a background here. So you're a traveling tournament kayak angler. You served in the Army as an infantryman for 6 years.
Yes.
You started kayak fishing about 6 years ago. Yeah. You've won second place in the Hobie Bass Open Series shootout, Lake Ouachita. Did I say it right?
Yeah.
Okay. Close. It's close.
No, you're right.
Okay,
on.
good.
Spot on.
I've actually rented a houseboat there before, a long time ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It is. Fifth place in the Hobie Bass Open, Lake Dardanelle.
Yep.
Okay.
Last year. Yep.
Two-time tournament champion qualifier, top 50 anglers, the Hobie Bass Series.
Yeah. Hobie Bass Open Series. Yeah.
Okay. Multiple first place finishes, lots of top 5 finishes for the West Tennessee Bass Kayakers. I haven't won any yet, but
You got 2 events in.
2 events in. Yes, 2 events, 0 fish. You have your own brand, Justin Patrick Fishing.
Yeah.
On
Very, very generic.
Facebook. Yeah. No, but I like it.
Yeah.
And so that's why you're here.
Well, kayak anglers, we're not very creative.
I'm just saying.
It's usually the name and then fishing.
You know what? But that right there, Justin Patrick Fishing, that's why you're here, because that's where I found you.
Okay.
You've got a new website and a podcast, Lines In.
Yeah, it's a shared venture. Myself, David Best, owner of Primary Tackle, and then another one of our pro staff members up there at S.Y. Wilson.
Yeah.
Matt Skelton. So
Yeah.
we started it a couple of weeks ago. We've been talking about it for months.
Right.
And David has had his own successful podcast for his Primary Tackle store.
Right.
He's been in the game for 40 years. Has a lot of bass boat anglers that watch his channel.
Yeah.
So we started noticing, hey, when we have a kayak guy come on, they kind of start leaving the show. So.
Oh yeah. So
But,
bring something on about it.
Yeah. So we just came up with the idea. The sport's been growing. Just
It's been growing big.
I mean, it's crazy. Can't keep boats in the store at all.
Yeah. So you've got Lines In.
Yep.
LinesIn.com.
Lines in Yak Fishing.
LinesInYakFishing.com. All right. And then we'll hit those at the end, and I'll have them posted.
Okay.
You launched the website to promote the sport of kayak fishing.
Yep. Techniques, videos. We put all the podcast shows. We're only one in, so, but we're gonna be putting those shows on the website.
Yeah.
A lot of people want to get off Facebook.
On
these
Facebook,
days.
yeah.
So but we're airing it there. We're gonna we started a YouTube channel and stuff like that too. So
That's great. It's fun. It's fun. I've watched I've watched it, and especially someone like me who, I would say just starting out, but really just to kind of get involved in it, and I kind of want to know the rules of the the land. So we're kind of starting off like with an appetizer, and I have okay. You ready for this? Hold on. Let's see. This one, right? Let's order up. Order up. Anyway, sausage and cheese plate. And all right, so do you start with an appetizer when you go out?
After a tournament, absolutely.
Okay, because you're starving.
Pretty hungry, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so.
And so I think you told me when I reached out to you that that your wife's family, when they come in town or someone comes in town, y'all go to Corky's?
Yeah, so we have my best friend and his wife. They used to live here. He was in the Army with me.
Okay.
And but they were originally from Houston, so they moved back. They come into town, every 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
But that's their thing. They just came here recently. Like, I was throwing a surprise birthday party for my wife.
Yeah.
So she didn't know they were coming. She was like, we're coming. We just bought the plane tickets. The only thing we ask is you take us to Corky's.
Really?
Yeah. They love it. I think we had a really fun day there. I mean, obviously the food's great.
Yeah.
But we had a really fun night. Went there years ago. Our waitress, she put up with our crap. It was you had a few Corky's brews.
Yeah,
it was awesome. Just had a great time. So
But it's memories.
It's memories.
See,
man.
that to me is what barbecue is, and I've said it, for years on QVC or wherever. Is to me, whenever I talk to somebody and they're say, "Oh, I work at Corky's," the first thing is like, "Oh, I've been there," or "We do this," and that's the first thing out of your mouth. You were like, "Oh, Corky's, we take our friends,"
Yeah.
But barbecue to me is friends and family and memories. My granddaddy was a big barbecue guy, and every July 4th, that's what he did, and everybody came over, and it was just that's just what we did.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do know that when people move away, you're kind of like, oh, I miss that. I miss that barbecue. I miss that atmosphere, and just like you said, the memory of when you came. You don't forget that, and then when you go back to that place and have that food, to me, it's also the aroma. Yeah. When you smell it, you're like, oh, it's barbecue. Yeah. And you can relive that. Memory, laugh, and
well, I think that they said that you guys have a location out in Houston now, or maybe started a couple.
That's
years
right.
ago.
Yeah.
And they said, they've been there, but they're like, man, it's just
Memphis.
It's not the same, man.
Yep.
There's just something about eating barbecue in Memphis,
right? And it's true. It's true. It's definitely a staple here. So if you come to Corky's, what do you get?
I love. Okay, so I'm a sucker for the barbecue nachos.
Oh, gosh.
I love the barbecue nachos.
They're amazing.
It puts you like in a ball game setting too.
Yeah.
Like, but I mean, I love the pulled pork plate.
Yeah.
Of course the ribs.
Yeah. I've been in the restaurant business my whole life, and I always get an appetizer, and I think it's just an easy way to go. Let's just start with this. And my wife's never ready to order off the menu, and so it's an easy
Something
way to go. Just bring this, and then we'll go. What's your drink? What do you drink?
Water.
Water?
No.
Cocktail beer? Corky's beer?
I love the Corky's beer. I mean, I like a good brew.
Yeah. Like a craft beer into that? Liquor? Liquor or beer? Beer?
Beer mostly. Liquor's more of like, when it's cold, that's when I want the liquor.
Okay.
But
so who's right now, is there a local brew that you like?
Yeah, I like the Crosstown.
It's a cousin of mine.
Is it really?
Yeah, Will Goodwin. Yeah, isn't that weird? And I might have him on.
Why am I not surprised?
How about that? I didn't even plant that story. So he has great. Have you been to the brewery?
No, I have not.
You have to go.
Don't they have a restaurant there too?
Or? In the whole Crosstown thing there are, but it's great. The big menu of all the beers, and they tell you about it, and you can sample them, and they have all the different ones. It's a very cool place.
Yeah, since our daughter was born, it's she loves Huey's.
Yeah,
so
who doesn't?
Right. I think it's because they give her the crayons and the paper.
Paper. They have the best burgers out there.
Yeah,
great range dressing.
Yeah. But so we, wife and I, we get a night out occasionally.
Yeah.
So just haven't made it over there
when they're little. It's hard.
Yeah.
So you say pro staff. So what does that mean? Does that mean you're sponsored? What does it mean?
So pro staff. Well, I hate using the word sponsored.
I know.
Because, I just think it's so overused, especially in the fishing industry. You have some companies, or I like to refer them as relationships, friendships, relationships. That's what they are. You get to know people, you build a mutual relationship, you help each other out,
Yeah.
And it just kind of has different tiers to it. So, you could be a full sponsored angler, where, hey, you're getting all your products for free or whatever. Or you could have a lower tier. You could get like half off, and then usually the lowest tier is like around 15%.
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah.
But S.Y. Wilson and Company, they're the local kayak dealer. A lot of different brands, Hobie, Jackson. They're sweet. They got it all. But a lot of the shops like that will have a pro staff.
Okay.
So, kayak anglers that are all, always out there or really good with social media or whatever, do well in tournaments.
Yeah.
And they help promote the store,
Okay.
So get people in there, put on their Facebook pages or Instagrams,
Yeah.
like, hey, this is what is in stock up here, and people, they flock to it. So.
But you develop a relationship with them, and
Correct,
you like the products they have.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you wouldn't push a product just because they were like, hey, try to push this.
No, I'm not like that. I want, so I'm not fully sponsored by anybody.
Yeah.
But I start, when I got on with SY, I was already using Hobie. I love the Hobie guys.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a few minutes. Yeah, yeah.
So it was just already there. So they sell them Hobies and all that kind of stuff. So I bought some from them.
And you developed a relationship with them, and
yeah.
And so Primary Tackle, is that a different?
Yeah, it's a different store. So Primary, Dave used to have a store down in Bartlett off the stage.
Okay.
And
is it rods? Is it rods, reels?
Rods, reels, tackle.
Primary Tackle. Yeah, primarily tackle.
Tackle. But they might have something else.
Right.
But no, so they're actually in the same building under S.Y. Wilson. So
okay. I got you.
Yeah, I know.
I got you. Share it. Yeah.
Yeah, they share it.
Okay.
Just kind of right next door.
Okay.
In the same building.
You got a nickname? Do you have a nickname? No.
Not really.
Okay.
Bubba. Back when I was young.
Oh wow, Bubba. Okay. All right. We're from the South, of course.
Right.
And I noticed that you got a new grill. You got a Traeger.
Oh man.
Oh, listen to that.
That's my baby.
I'm friends with I know the Traeger people. And I saw that, and just your sound right there to me. That's how products sell, and that's how they work. It literally just stopped, and you went, oh man,
dude, I've been cooking on it every day since I bought it.
Have you?
Yeah, and it was like, hey wife, let's go buy a new grill, and she was like, yes,
because you're going to take over some of that cooking responsibility, and you get excited about it.
I do a lot. I do most of the cooking.
Yeah. Anyway,
she does, but I do most of it. I grew up in a household. My mom, had me in there cooking. There's 5 of us in there. So, we were in there helping in some way, somehow.
Yeah. But so you know how to cook anyway.
I know how to cook.
Yeah.
I'm not the best at it from scratch, but,
But you can make food taste good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just got the right seasoning.
And so which model Traeger did you get?
It's the Pro Model 22. So kind of their starter Traeger. But still an awesome.
Is it a color? Did you get a color? They have colors.
Yeah, it's like the bronze.
The bronze, yeah.
I
think that looks great. I think that looks great. Yeah.
Yeah, it just sets up the back porch. Makes it look good.
Absolutely. So what have you cooked on it?
So you've seen the picture of the jalapeno stuff, or stuffed
which
peppers.
I love. Those are great. I'm a big green egg guy. I also know Traeger very well.
Yeah.
But jalapeno stuff wrapped in bacon. That's one of the best things you can put in your mouth.
How can you not like it?
I know. I do love
it's
it.
The cream cheese.
Oh my gosh.
It's a perfect combo.
But they're not easy to make.
No.
They're not hard, but it's time consuming and hand wrapping. And all that.
Cutting the peppers, all that.
Yeah.
Luckily, Kroger has them pre-made.
There you go. There you go. So you just grab them.
Yeah. Well, me and we were down at Lake Seminole beginning of this year. Me and David.
And where is that?
That's Bainbridge, Georgia.
Okay.
So that was the first tournament for the Hobie Bass Open Series.
Okay.
It's about 8 hours from here.
Yeah.
And David, I didn't know this about him, but he's a cook. He's like, dude, we're cooking. So we got a house. He's up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I wake up, I'm calling out of bed at 5. He's got biscuits and bacon and egg already done. And the last day, we went to a little store. Those little hole in the wall places down there in the middle of nowhere. They got the best meats.
Oh, the best.
And we get steaks and these stuffed jalapeno peppers.
Yeah.
And I've had them before, but not like made myself.
Right.
Anyways, that's what got me hooked on them.
And so you put them on the Traeger. What kind of you use pellets? It's a pellet. Yeah. So what kind? Hickory, apple. What?
Yeah, we just got the hickory.
Hickory. Okay.
So that's good for
everything. Which of course
so
that's the best. Yeah.
Good starter. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you set it on
450.
450.
Oh yeah.
And you just let it go.
Yeah. and that's it. That's the best thing about Traeger.
I mean, that's what sells Traeger.
But what I was most impressed about it is that the heat distribution is so even throughout it, and that's. I mean, I grilled out on the the little Weber,
absolutely,
Weber.
Absolutely.
It's an awesome grill.
Yeah.
But you just kind of get those burnt edges sometimes. Just getting that heat right is a little challenging.
Yeah.
So to plug that sucker in,
and you get the real flavor of it's not just a grill. I mean, you get that smoker.
You get the taste.
You do. You get the
flavor. Yeah. So we've cooked that. We've cooked some chicken. Cooked some kebabs last night. I
saw the kebabs. The kebabs. See how weird Facebook is? So what were those kebabs? Were the beef?
Beef kebabs.
Beef.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Another Kroger special.
Yeah. Oh, that's all right. That's good. It looked good.
You know how it is. You got
You're busy.
minimum time. Man.
Absolutely.
Little child.
Absolutely.
Gotta get it and go.
No, I think, and I did. I saw when you got it, and I instantly was like, oh, I'm gonna talk to him about Traeger. So a friend of mine at QVC. Sells the Traegers, Greg Shockley. He's awesome. And he's done Traegers for a long time, and they are a huge, huge seller because I think it takes the grill to a different level. Mm-hmm. So it becomes, the smoker. But I also think that it takes all the, I don't think I can do that out of it.
Right.
Anyone can do it. It's easy and the flavor's great and everyone can use it. I think it's brilliant. I do.
I've been nudging the wife like, hey, this is so easy.
Yeah.
You can get this started.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Believe me. Yes.
My little daughter was like, she's out there turning on, cranking it up. She knows how to do it.
Yeah. So, all right. So let me back up 1 second. So this is what I want to know, and we're gonna get into kayaks. We're gonna talk about fishing.
Okay.
But take me back to you're in high school. Like, and you're making the decision of I'm going to join the Army. I'm going to go get a job. Take me there, and tell me where you were mentally. Like what made you go? I'm doing this. I'm joining the Army. Because first of all, I think it's fantastic, and it's such to me. It's an honor, and I thank everybody for their service because not everybody is up to do that. And so, what was going through your mind, and how did you make that decision?
Friends have influences.
Okay, well they do. They do.
No, we were talking before we started. I have a big family. My dad was a sole provider.
Yeah.
So drove a truck, 5 of his kids. Mom stayed home with us.
Right.
So, it wasn't a lot of, college just wasn't, as far as like going straight from high school, you're going to college. It was kind of like you got to find your own way.
Okay.
But, after high school, just like most kids when they're 18, they don't know what they want to do.
I still don't. I'm still deciding.
I'm still there.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
But, it was one of my really good friends at the time. He was joining. And, we were really close,
Yeah.
And he said that he was doing that, and I just kind of thought it over. I was like, that'd be a really good idea for me. Just something I needed that in my life at that time. Just something to do.
I mean, to me, see, that's what's interesting to me, that you knew at 18 that you needed that structure or you needed that environment. Yeah. I did not think that at 18. I thought I could do whatever, and and so were you nervous to join? Or you were just like,
oh yeah,
oh you were,
yeah. I mean, you hear the stories,
yeah.
Boot camp mostly,
right?
But it just I don't know. I really enjoyed it. When I was in boot camp, I mean, I loved it.
Yeah, because that's what I was going to ask you about boot camp. So it's mental and physical.
It is.
Which was harder for you?
The mental part.
It was
because when they're in your face, knife fisting you. I mean, day one was terrible. I mean, they had loudspeakers going, babies crying, bombs going off, all this crazy stuff.
Where were you?
Fort Benning, Georgia.
Okay.
So they're setting the scene, and they're trying to weed the weak ones
of course
out, and I mean it's the first day is all about learning structure, so learning rank, and what they do they have a thing called shark attacks. So you'll have an E5, which is a sergeant.
All right.
come up to you, and then you have an E6 come up to you. So he's a staff sergeant, just one step above.
Okay.
And they're both giving you directions, yelling and screaming with all the bombs going off and all this, and it's
the first day.
Very first day. Yeah. Well, okay, no, I lied. The first week is kind of like,
intro, get to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, they march you to where you're going to be. And then, like, as soon as you come around the corner, it's just chaos. I mean, they're running at you. They're yelling and screaming.
Were you prepared for that?
I don't think so. I was probably pretty terrified.
But so that happens. And then after that day's over, the end of that day, do y'all all just walk back to wherever the barracks or wherever, and you're like, what just happened?
Oh, no,
what did I get myself
there
into?
There was no walking anywhere. It was running
you ran.
everywhere. Yeah. So, we actually, the first couple of days, the first week was, they call it Hell Week.
Yeah.
It's treacherous. But,
and so the buddy that you went with, was he with you?
No, so he, when we joined, he actually went a little ahead of me.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
He went Cavalry Scout.
Okay.
And the unit that I was joining, they were telling us that they were about to be converted over to infantry anyways.
Yeah.
So, but they didn't make that switch or determine that switch until after he joined. So
Okay.
it was kind of like real, in close proximity.
Yeah.
So, my recruiter was telling me, like, hey, your unit's switching over. You just want to go ahead and go infantry.
And so what's the recruiter telling you? Is he just trying to get you to join? Or are they giving you insight of like, hey, this is going to happen. You can do it.
Yeah. I think everybody's experience is a little different.
Yeah.
But my recruiter, actually, I knew him. I didn't know he was in the Army, but when I was real little, the church we went to, he went to church there.
Okay.
And
well, that probably made it a little bit easier. Someone to trust.
A little more comfortable, but
yeah.
But yeah, it was they work off numbers. They're trying to recruit, and at that time, it was 2006. We're in the middle of Iraq,
right?
All that kind of stuff. Hot. So they're trying to get their numbers up, but yeah, they fill you in on what's going to happen, that kind of stuff. But they don't want to scare you off.
Sure.
So.
But they want to give you a little bit of groundwork.
Just enough.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, hey, you're going to be blowing stuff up and shooting guns. And,
right.
So at 18 years old, of course that sounds
right.
Hey, I'm not doing anything.
And so you join. You're in boot camp. Do you know anyone?
No.
You know no one. Did anybody else know anybody?
No.
Not really.
No, I don't think so.
Just a pile.
Yeah. You get to know each other real quick though. So.
And so then, once that second week comes and they're running at you and they're playing the loud sounds and this and that. Is there a light at the end of the tunnel? Like, I can get through this? Like, what are you telling yourself?
What am I doing here?
Yeah, right. You question it.
Yeah. I remember my mentality was just, I'm here. There's nothing I can do about it, and I'm not going to give up.
Yeah.
I'm not going to quit or come up with some excuse or whatever. Going into it, you hear stories how guys try to play like they're mental or whatever,
right?
Just to get out of it.
Yeah.
I didn't want. I wasn't going to do that.
You were like, I'm here. I'm
here.
doing it.
Yeah. So. It's just, every single day is different. You just got to take, one thing.
Do you know what to expect the next day?
Not typically. No. You don't even know when your day's going to start. It could start at 2:00 in the morning, or,
oh my gosh.
Or, they might be gracious enough to let you sleep till 4, but they weren't too gracious.
Yeah.
Typically.
Wow. And so, but you knew you have this time period. It's what, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 14?
4 months.
4 months?
4 months, yeah.
But after that, it starts to get a little better. It's not horrible for 4 months.
So you have your. So what I did was Osa Training, which means you do your basic and your advanced individual training all in one sitting. Some guys, like guys that maybe in college or something like that, they do their boot camp, and then they go home for a little while, and then they go to another base and do their individual training.
I see.
But with infantry, it's all right there at Fort Benning. So, you just get it all done.
You do it all. No, I'm definitely impressed with that, and I think I'm sure you're proud, and it gives you physical strength, mental strength, structure. So then you finished boot camp. Then what?
So then it was report to my unit. And just.
And where'd you go?
So I was actually Army National Guard.
Okay.
So that's what I did. So our unit was in Hernando, but
okay.
we were oftentimes down in Camp Shelby.
So did you know that's where you would be when you signed on? Like,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is my biggest regret at it is that I wish I would have gone regular Army.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I just just gone out.
You think you went the safe route or what?
Well, at 18, you want to still hang around your friends.
Of course.
And stuff. I mean, I was, so that was kind of the reason why I did guard,
Yeah.
But because I didn't want to miss out on my family and,
right.
and everything. But
and how long do you sign up for?
I did 6 years.
Is that what you signed? Like in the beginning, that's what you signed up for?
Yeah.
6 years.
Yeah. So I think you could, I think at that point, I'm not sure what it is now, but you could have done like 2 years or 3 years.
I
think it was like a half
yeah.
a term that you could do.
Yeah.
But 6 is kind of like the basic.
Yeah. I mean it's definitely impressive. And so one of my questions was, do you still keep up with any of your Army friends? And then you answered that one of them likes Corky. So
well, the guy, yeah, and the guy that got me into it, we all grew up in Mississippi, and he actually moved. Him and his wife moved just 2 streets over.
Really?
They didn't even know we lived out there, and they moved 2 streets from us, from Olive Branch to Bartlett.
How wild is that?
I know. So,
that's good.
Yeah.
What does your wife think about that? I mean,
no,
your buddy. Oh, good.
Yeah, no, she's best friend. I mean, she's really good friends with his wife.
Okay, good.
She's a Bartlett PD. So,
okay.
Yeah, that's kind of why they moved out there. But,
I got you.
Yeah, they hang it. They have their girls' night.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good. All right, so let's move on. You want any more of this? Put on your plate.
Sure.
We'll move on to dinner or late lunch. And this is where I say we get into the meat of it. Even though I just quizzed you about your Army, you think you're coming here to talk about kayaks, and I want to know. I like to know more about people.
No, yeah, absolutely.
And thank you, Elizabeth. Got some baked beans, potato salad. I love our potato salad. We've got a twice baked potato salad. It's like the baked potato that you make when no one's looking, with all the cheese and bacon and sour cream and whatever. Oh, all right, man. So look for dinner, late lunch, whatever we are, main course. How about that? I did a full rack of ribs, and I did half wet and half dry. So, and being from Memphis, dry ribs are a thing. And we're one of the only barbecue places that do both. There's a lot of barbecue places in Memphis that specialize in dry ribs. There's a lot that only do wet. Mm-hmm. We do both. And so my favorite's dry, but I like wet too. It's sort of like, which like one's your favorite kid, but yeah. And so let me tell you this, just grip it and rip it.
There you go.
That's what you do. You don't need utensils.
Here's a rib story for you.
Okay.
So prom night.
Okay. See, I took you back to high school. Now you're still there. Yeah.
I take my date to go eat barbecue.
Did you?
And I get wet ribs. And of course, I'm wearing white shirt.
Of course.
And of course, I get some on my shirt, but it was awesome.
That is awesome. That prom night. Hey, honey, we're going to barbecue. So on your Traeger, you're going to have to do some ribs. You're going to have to season some ribs.
Oh, they're in the freezer.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, you'll have to cook some ribs. You got to do a slow smoke. You need to get you a brisket.
Yes.
Once you hit, how are they?
Excellent.
Ribs, tender.
Good. Oh yeah. Awesome.
I always know when the food's good, people get quiet. You're like, it's like at the restaurant. And I always knew if I went up to my tables or whatever, and everybody was quiet, I'm like, oh, they're good. They're good. They're eating.
Hold that thought, Jimmy.
I'm eating. You can't beat a good rib.
No, you can't.
Here's some. Just grab what you want. All right. I asked this to everybody that I have on. Again, going back to, it's to me barbecue, especially, is about memories and friends, family. Just like you said, it's. I've heard that my whole life.
Yeah.
At Corky's, that's what I think of. You said, "Oh, we were there a long time ago. We had great memory from there. I mean, that's what I say, because that's what it is to me. So I think it revolves around food. And so I ask everybody, what's your favorite home-cooked meal as a child, whether your mom cooked it or your grandmother cooked it? Go back there. Tell me what it is.
That's easy.
Is it?
Mine was, still is spaghetti.
Spaghetti. Your mom's spaghetti?
My mom made a phenomenal spaghetti from scratch.
Really?
I mean, the sauce, we're not even Italian, but she makes an awesome spaghetti, and I don't know. I haven't heard very many people that do this.
Yeah.
My wife didn't do it, but she loves it now. So the deal with what she did with spaghetti is we actually would eat it with cottage cheese. You ever heard of that? Oh, man. Do you like cottage cheese?
Well, no, but if it's in something.
Every blue moon.
Yeah.
So, I don't know why.
Like, what do you mean? Like, as just on the side?
On the side, you a fork of cottage cheese and get some spaghetti with it.
So if anybody ever wonders why I'm doing this, it's because of things like this.
Get the secret.
Because now I kind of want to try that in a weird way, because lasagna, you could do it with cottage cheese,
Yep.
And so I can almost taste that.
It's really good. My wife.
So just on the side.
Yeah. My wife, she won't eat cottage cheese by itself.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I have, but
I do. I might be the
you do.
I like it.
Just eat it. Like,
my favorite snack growing up, favorite snack was like cottage cheese and applesauce.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'll give you that. Okay.
I got some weird.
That's all right. Hey, we all do.
Hey, I put hot sauce on mashed potatoes, so
Oh, that actually sounds good too. Golly. No, I'm gonna try, because that's not something that I would normally put together.
You got to go the full 4%.
Okay.
Get the 4%.
Oh yeah, I'm not. I'm not getting skim or low fat or anything. So you just serve it on the side.
Yeah.
You put it together.
Well,
on the same fork.
The sauce is real hot, so you got a little bit, the
little cool it off.
Cottage cheese, but it just mixes real well.
That's funny you said that. So let me tell you something else. My mother-in-law, my wife's mom, she's passed away now, but she used to always say at every meal, you have to have something hot and something cold. And that reminds me of that. Good. So if I'm on QVC or I'm talking to somebody who's not familiar, like with how we make barbecue here and put coleslaw on top of the sandwich. Mm-hmm. And I always say, it's the perfect thing. My mother-in-law used to say, something hot, something cold. So you've got your barbecue and you got that. So that goes right along with what she used to say.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my meal.
So where did that come from? Where did she get that from?
I have no idea. I've never asked her that question.
Yeah.
So I'm going to quiz her now.
Yeah.
But she came from a really big family. I think there was 9.
My wife's one of 9.
Really?
Yeah.
So, her mom, big cook. Her grandma was a phenomenal cook. She lived out in Haytown, Missouri. We'd go out there. That was my second favorite meal.
Okay. What is that?
Dumplings, chicken and dumplings.
Oh.
Well, when she made them. Really
chicken and dumplings. I love chicken and dumplings. My mom used to have them on Saturday. That was like my dad's meal on Saturday.
Talk about differences, hot and cold. With chicken and dumplings, you've got the soft, noodles type deal.
Yeah.
And then the chicken,
That's right.
So it's just kind of those differences.
Yeah. I do love a good bowl of chicken and dumplings. Especially in the wintertime. God, it is good.
Oh, yeah.
It is good. Do you make do you or your wife, do you make the spaghetti now with in your own house with the cottage cheese?
Well, we make this. Yeah, we do.
Okay, her recipe, or
I have made her recipe, but it doesn't come out.
I knew it. So always my second question is do you make it? Yeah, and then I want to know, is it as good? There's something about you can't do it.
It might be the amount of sugar she puts in.
Yeah,
I'm not sure, but it's just
I'm sure she cooks by taste too. Like that's a little bit.
She does.
Oh, it needs a little bit of this. Yeah.
And she wants all her kids to come back to.
Of course.
The house to visit. So she's not really forthcoming with her recipes.
My mom does the same thing. We laugh because she says she'll share them with us, and you go, okay, would you send us that for this holiday or whatever? Yeah. She still does this, and I hope she hears this because she knows it's true. She will send out. Ray loves her corn souffle or whatever it is, mm-hmm. And she will give you the recipe, but she leaves stuff out, and I know she does it on purpose. And she says she doesn't, but she does. She does.
I think that's what
subconsciously she leaves something out,
yeah.
And so someone else will bring it to the Thanksgiving or Easter or whatever, and they'll go, "It's really good, but it's not quite as good as when Sue makes it."
Yeah.
And we're all like this, and my mom will go taste it, and she'll go, "Oh, you didn't put this in it," and we're all like, "Because you didn't put that on the recipe."
That wasn't in there, Mom.
That's right. You didn't tell us to add that. Yeah, that's funny. That's funny.
It's the main ingredient, too.
But to me, like when I asked you that, you probably can go right back to your kitchen or your kitchen table or wherever you ate, and you can picture it.
Well, she would always ask all this, when our birthdays come around. Still does. What do you want me to make you? Mine's always spaghetti and strawberry cake. So.
I love strawberry cake too. It really is. So it really is. Yeah. Does she make it?
She does. Her and her sister, they actually had a little shop out in Somerville.
Really?
I can't. It was short lived. Well, it lasted about 2 years.
I
think up until the vid.
Yeah.
But I mean they made all their desserts there. They're just big into desserts. So So now my mom, she works. She's kind of like the head chef. She never really worked her whole life.
Right.
So now everybody's moved out. She likes having something to do. So she's the head chef over at Cafe Eclectic.
Oh yeah, I know that.
So a couple of years she was there. She was working there, and then she left for a little while, and then they wanted her back.
Yeah.
But
that's great.
They were wanting to get her all of her recipes and stuff. I was like, you better not give them strawberry.
That's right. You keep that one.
If you need money for it, I'll buy it.
That's right. Don't give that one. Don't give that one.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the stuff I've researched about kayak fishing in general.
Okay.
All right. You can dig in whenever you want. It's just go. I sell food on TV, so we talk and eat at the same time. It's totally good, and that's how we do it here in the South. So I'm all good with it. So if anybody's listening and they're like, kayak fishing, what is this? I'm telling you this. It is probably the most up and coming, I would say, sport activity outdoor that is out there anywhere. It really, I'm going to say 8 years ago, it didn't really exist. It only existed from, somebody fished in their kayak if they lived near water or whatever, or there was a forum and they met up with a couple of friends and did that. And I'm talking from 8 years to now where there are multiple tournaments. There are trails all over the country. There's huge prize purses. Kayak manufacturers in general have changed how they do business, and they work to build the best mold, to build the best thing for kayak fishing. They seriously changed an entire industry of manufacturing for this. And so if you're not familiar with it and you are interested in getting into it, it's to me, it's a blast. I love it. It's super relaxing. And I've had boats my whole life. I've been around boats my whole life. So the water's, it's very natural to me. But there's something about being, I'm not saying trapped, but you're in or on top of this little tiny.
It's very personal.
It's very personal. And it's not like, so the sport part to me is, you're either pedaling it or you are paddling, and I paddle, I'm going to get pedals soon. But I paddle. It gives you some exercise. It's beautiful outside. You can get to places that you cannot go with a boat. Yeah. You can go in 15 and 10 inches of water or less. Yeah. And then, you're fishing, you catch a fish. It could pull you. It can actually move you, this fish, right. And then, I don't know. There's something about it that is it's just exploded, on the scene. And I think people should try it. I think they should wait till next year because you can't get it. You're not going to be able to get a kayak this year
unless it's becoming very difficult.
Yeah. And so, like I said, 8 to 10 years ago, it was just people had kayaks. And they might fish out of it, but it wasn't a fishing kayak. Now there's so many kayaks that are made specifically for fishing. What do you think? What do you think's driving this popularity? Like, what do you love about it? What'd you get into it for?
Well, I mean, kind of going. I mean, I guess the way I got into it, short story was from a coworker. I grew up fishing the bank. My dad got me into fishing. That's kind of how I got started.
Was he a good fisherman?
He's okay.
He's okay.
No, my dad.
At the time he taught you, he was a great fisherman.
Well, my dad had he had the philosophy: those who can do, those who can't coach.
Teach, yeah,
teach. So he was he was great. I mean, good golfer, loved baseball. That's what we did mostly.
Yeah.
So my fishing as a young kid was not to the extent of it that it is now.
Okay.
It just wasn't really in our family like that. Like some
you had the Zebco from Walmart.
Had the Zebco.
Yeah.
Bag of worms.
Like everyone.
Hooks.
Yeah.
I would ride my Huffy out to the local
absolutely.
ponds until I lost all my lures.
Right. So but to me, that's just how. I mean, that's how I grew up. You grew. I think everybody in the country. That's what you did.
That's just. That was so much fun. Just going out in the woods and finding those little honey holes out there that nobody knows about. But
yeah. So how did you go from I fished as a kid like millions and millions of other people to I think I'm gonna get in a kayak and fish? Like what? Because I think that most people who aren't familiar with this at all, okay, when you hear kayak, you think of canoe, you think of kayak like whitewater rafting that you might see on the Olympics or you're seeing in racing kayaks.
Yeah, you definitely.
But it's totally different. Kayak. You're not thinking like, oh, a fishing kayak. What? But it was so like what made you go, I think I'm going to get into this?
Well, I mean, it was like 6 or 7 years ago, had this young contractor start up at FedEx with us. And he was on Google Earth one day. I was like, man, what are you looking at? And he was like, checking out this river system that him and his buddies were going to go kayak fishing. So that's where I first heard about it.
And you were like, what?
And I was like, dude, what is this?
But were you thinking when he said that, like, oh, they have a kayak and they're going to fish out of it? Not like a thing.
Yeah. I
like it sounded fun that they had.
I definitely didn't know the extent of
of where you can go
fishing,
with it.
What you could do. Yeah. So, I mean, started researching it. I was like, man, these things are really cool, But it was also like, this is my way to get out there on the water. To start doing what I've always loved to do from the bank, and learn more about it. So, I bought my first kayak, and it was a feel-free lure.
So did you go? Don't grant it that. That's what I don't.
That's what you have.
That's
Dude,
what I have.
It's a good boat.
I love it.
It's a great boat.
I love it.
Yeah. I mean, I like the little wheel in the keel. Dude, that's convenient.
It is. Well, if there was two and made it a little more stable when you were trying to roll it, maybe. But no, that's why I bought it. Great sale. Let me tell you something.
It is.
That's the great sales technique that they did.
That is.
And so if you're not familiar with this in the kayak, you grab it from the front, you pick it up, and you drag it to the water. Well, this particular brand that I have that he's speaking of, it has a wheel at the other end of it. So when you pick it up, you actually can roll it. It's not light or stable out of the water, but it does make it easier, and you don't have to have two people.
Yeah.
But so did you go with them before you bought a kayak, or did you just said, I'm going to do this?
No, I never went with them. He was a lot younger than I was. I didn't really get the invite, but
right.
No.
You're the grandpa that didn't get to go.
At that time, I didn't have one, so I didn't even ask. But yeah, I mean, I got it and just started fishing around here a lot. Just getting out and exploring the little lakes that I've always seen, heard about, wanted to go and try out. And
so, how did you know what to buy? That Feel Free was your first kayak, so you did a lot of research.
Oh, I did a lot of research
because I had two before this one.
I mean, dude, I
had the Ascend.
I mean, the Traeger was one of the items that I bought very spontaneously.
Oh, really?
Just 'cause, I mean,
so you're a researcher.
I'm a researcher.
All right. So you go and find this, and so you didn't really dip your toes in. See, I kind of dipped my toes in. So again, I've been around the lakes my whole life, and from when I was little, and I've had boats, and and so I'm like, oh, I'll get a kayak and try this. This will be fun. And so I go to Bass Pro and get me the Ascend 12 or
128,
whatever it is. Yeah. And it's great. I'm like, it's got fishing pole holders.
Yeah.
Great. And it'll hold me. And I got in and I loved it. And when I started seeing other people, I'm like, wait a minute. Then you get envy. Like you're in a Pinto.
He has a cooler.
Yeah, like, wait a minute. Now my car's embarrassing. But no, it's actually great. And I still have it here. But you do tend to move forward really quickly. But you moved to the Feel Free lure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was my first.
How long?
Dude, I was in it. I was in it about a year and a half.
But what's the length of yours?
Oh, it was a 12-footer.
Oh, you had the 12-footer.
Yeah.
Okay. And so if again, to me, I want to talk to you about this because anybody listening that is not sure about this, I want to tell them it's an amazing and fun thing to do sport, whether you're in a club or you're not, whether you're not a fisherman. And I am clearly not a fisherman, but I love doing it. I love being on the water, and it's just so relaxing, and you're in control of everything, you know.
Right.
So when you picked that one, what drew you to that particular kayak? Like, just what'd you research and find that you said, I want this one?
I mean, the wheel and the keel was a hard sell. That was a good one.
But the weird thing is you didn't have another one that you had dealt with dragging. See, I had the Ascend, and I'm like, oh my God, this is not as easy as it seems.
So when I started researching, I knew the Hobie was, that was the Cadillac, But I was like, man, that is steep. They're pricey.
They are.
For your first one.
Right.
I was like, let me try this out.
Yeah.
But I knew I was gonna love it. I mean, I've always been outdoors. Always loved that in general.
Yeah.
But, that, I mean, the front hatch, had plenty of room and stuff like that,
Right.
And then I really like the sonar pod.
Okay.
So,
yep.
I mean, you have your battery inside there. You
right.
can mount your graph to it.
Yep.
So, I mean, for the price of the kayak, you get a lot of features.
Yeah.
And it's,
yeah.
and I mean, you can rig it out,
yeah.
however you want.
Right.
So, I mean,
which is what I was also going to talk about. And again, I keep bringing this up, but if you haven't seen it, just Google, fishing kayaks. You won't believe how rigged out people do their kayak, and I kind of jump on the bandwagon too. I mean, I love
fun,
it.
Isn't it?
I think it is part of the fun, and I think that's part of the draw too.
It is.
It's like this little tiny boat in this massive body of water, and in this little tiny boat, you have all these things at your fingertips, and so rigging it out with I've got this many rod holders and I've got this crate in the back.
Right.
Either I built it or I spent a lot on it or whatever it is. The one thing I think is that I've enjoyed about it is everyone seems to sort of cheer everyone else on, even though you're competing with them. But it's interesting right. because not many sports are like, you're not going, hey, hope you have a great game today.
Yeah.
You hope you don't.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's, it's just, you all have something in common.
Yeah.
And you are competing against each other, but really you're competing against the lake, the fish.
Yeah.
And I mean, these, fish with pea-sized brains. I mean, it's just whatever fascination we get out of, tricking them into biting our lures.
And so, so when you first get this and you get a rod, you get like you're researching the whole thing. So 8 years ago.
Yeah. So I was actually, starting to acquire my gear, and I just bought a GoPro.
Okay.
And I was out. So this is not a diss on. This is totally my fault. But I flipped my boat out of Glen Springs.
Okay.
Lost all my stuff.
Oh.
I lost two rod and reel combos that were like two.
Is it a river or a lake?
Glen Springs is just a little lake out in Millington.
And how'd you flip that field?
So wind was howling.
Okay.
So wind was howling. I had gotten hung up on this. I was throwing a crankbait and got hung up over here. Well. And the wind's pushed me the opposite direction.
Okay.
So I was, finagling with this, trying to get it unhung, and then I guess I just set my paddle down and didn't really strap it down. And I look over here, I'm messing with that. I look back, my paddle's floating
like that.
off. Just so I not, it's floating off. So without even thinking about it, I just reached out real far and grabbed it. So I tipped it. I fell out of the boat and the boat tipped.
Right.
Lost all my stuff. So at that point, it was like, man. Do I continue doing this?
Right. What did I just do? I just lost all this.
Yeah, it was a big decision maker for me right there, but it was actually pretty. I mean, it was pretty terrifying. I mean, it was about over 15 feet of water.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like late fall, so it was starting to get pretty chilly.
But you would say that, and this is what, and I'm a big guy. And so to put me in a kayak, like I need one that I feel like is stable. You know, a canoe, I don't get into canoes. I'm not, they wobble and So what I love about the kayaks, especially the ones now for fishing, they're super stable. Like they, it seems like it wobbles, but it's not going over unless I am falling out of the boat, which, I mean, if you fall like you did, you reached out of almost like just instinct. You reached out and you went too far. It's not going to hold you in.
Right.
And but to me, one of the great things was how stable they are, because I wanted to be able to relax and have fun. And if I was constantly shaking and thinking it was going to flip over, that's not fun to me. Like a stand-up paddleboard is not fun to me. No. But a lot of people love it. With exercise, it's just I'm super top-heavy, and I feel like the entire time I'm about to go down.
I've seen those guys on those things in pretty heavy wind. I'm like, how are they out there doing that?
Oh, my gosh. I know. I mean, but people like different stuff. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's just my body does not work on the stand-up paddleboard.
So have you been in the Hobie yet?
No.
Okay, so...
all right. Let me tell you this. So you flipped, lost all your stuff. And my first kayak, my Ascend, I was doing the Ghost River. Have you done the Ghost?
No, I haven't.
Okay, you need to come with us sometime.
I need to.
Well, it's a whole day.
It's
It's a whole
list.
day thing.
Yeah.
It's and so I've done it a few times. And
bringing lunch, right?
Yeah. And but it's great. I mean, you go through 5 ecosystems.
Yeah.
It's about 6 hours. It takes about 6 hours, and it's it has a great history and story, and it's sort of LaGrange, Tennessee is where we put in, and there's hardlands, and then there's this grassy lands, and then there's this cedar cypress in the water where you're just like banging to tree. They're 14 inches apart or whatever, and then it hits to this lake and it just disappears. The current disappears, and that's why it's the Ghost, because people would get lost. Like, where's the river?
Yeah.
And so there's a paddle part where you have to go. It's about 45 minutes, and there's no current. You have to paddle.
It's all you. Yeah.
And then at the very end, so I had done this. I had my fishing poles, my cooler, all my stuff, phone, tackle box, all that, and I was brand new to it. So I didn't have everything. Now I feel like I'm a little better organized, but at that time it's just everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm crossing my legs. I got sunscreen.
Down,
I have sunscreen and all this stuff. And at the very end, there's this little. It all of a sudden the current picks back up from this lake. It's very bizarre, and then it narrows from. I mean, it could be 30, 40 yards wide down to 5 feet wide. So you can imagine that the current really picks up. It shoots it through there. And I had done it before, my second time there, and I went, and then right in that curve where the water's rushing like a rapid, I go up against this tree, and I'm like, I'm stuck on this tree. And just like you said, it's like a split second. I grabbed my paddle, and I was totally fine. And all I wanted to do was push off this tree. And instantaneously, I pushed off this tree, and when I did, this side caught all that rushing water, and I was over. I lost all my brand new fishing poles. I had just bought them. Tackle by everything. It was gone instantaneously.
Did you get to recover any of it, or was it just
no? Well, my phone, because I was like, "Where's my phone?" And I did get my phone. I was like this, but it scared me for a second. But other than that, and I've been on the water lots and lots of times with that, I haven't had any issues. I think they're so stable now. They're built for stability, and I'm the one that messed that up. I pushed where I shouldn't have, just not thinking about it.
That's the part that fishing kayaks are not really built for.
Yeah,
they're not built for that kind.
No, no, because I had the kind that sit up on top of, and so no, it's not for that.
Yeah, that's the big difference between the two styles.
Yeah,
the sit-in ones, you have a lot more control. You can move them real fast.
Right.
Turn them really quick.
Yeah.
Fishing kayaks are made for stability. So naturally you're not going to get that.
Yeah, and believe me, I did not for that that one time. But I do love the stability, the fun. So the longer the kayak, the better the speed.
Yeah, but that's
okay. And then shorter, but you can maneuver better in a shorter.
You can, yeah.
Yeah, get in and out easier.
And the whole design is really where you get the maneuverability.
Okay.
As well as your stability.
Yeah.
So like with the Feel Free, it's got a tri-hull.
Yes.
It has 3 different sections in there that captures the water.
Yeah.
So you're just kind of locked in, and that's a really stable. It's a really stable boat, and it's really difficult to turn too. But if you got the rudder.
I don't have the rudder yet.
The rudder is that's the deal. That's what you need to get.
Yeah.
Because, dude, it turns all the time then.
Really? Because it's not easy to turn.
Yeah. Dude, that rudder, I mean, it just,
But it's easier. It feels better to me. It's more comfortable than the Ascend that I had, the other one I had. And so, but I've never had a rudder. I've never been in one with a rudder, so I don't know the difference. It's like you don't know how. Right. Yeah. Right. And so you say let's say you want to start doing kayak fishing, and it's not like you just go get a kayak and you're like, okay, I'm done. There's quite a few things you have to get.
Yeah. Paddle,
so even in the little tournaments that I'm in, all the things. Go ahead, list all the things that you have to have.
Your flotation device, your PFD, that's the most important.
Oh yeah, and so again, if you're not familiar, you don't just get a life jacket, or you can, but if you want to look like everyone else, then you get these they look like airplane life jackets that you pull a lever and it has a CO2 cartridge in it, blows up if you fall into the water, and so you look cool. It doesn't get in your way when you're fishing.
I love those. I used to have the big puffy one.
Oh, me too.
It just sits on your lap. It's just in your way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great for accessories, putting your phone and all that stuff.
Right.
In, but in the case that you fall over.
Right. Right.
But yeah, I like that one. But then you got the 360 light. So state law requires, it varies by the state.
Yeah.
But Tennessee requires you to have 360 light.
Right. So and that's if the light is if you're going out before dark, before dawn, and or after dark, and the flag.
Flag, that's another Tennessee thing too, and it kind of varies by the club too, whether or not they require.
So when you fish out of state, you don't have to have the light or the flag.
I haven't. So the Hobie Bass Open Series, I think they suggest that you have a flag,
right?
But they don't always require.
I got you.
Because I think they just say check with the local.
Whatever
laws.
Right.
So some do, some don't.
So you get your kayak, life vest,
whether if you need a paddle, if you're paddling, your rod.
So do you have do you have a paddle at all on yours? Because you pedal. You have a pedal.
Oh yeah, I bring it.
You have a paddle. Okay. So I only have a paddle, but I don't keep one of those lanyard things on them. I don't do that.
I don't either. I mean, I didn't when I was paddling.
I understand it, but I don't like that. Yeah, in a way. So I hold on to it, and of course it fits on the side really easy.
Yeah.
A whistle.
Yeah, a whistle. Yeah.
Which is the one thing that I always forget. And my buddy Jason, I always I don't have a whistle. I don't have a whistle. He's like, I got an extra whistle
right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a club rule.
Okay. And so what else when you're in a tournament? What else do you have to have?
I think that covers it for what you
the board.
Oh yeah, the bump board. Okay, so they call it a hog trough. Catch board makes them. They have the plastic versions. That's kind of outdated.
And so what's that for?
That's for measuring your fish. So
okay.
Do I get this question?
And how big is one of those?
Let's see, what are they? I think mine is 28 inches.
Yeah.
You can get them up to 36.
Okay. And so you're in a kayak, and you have your live fish, you have all this stuff, and now you have to also have this giant board that you have to put your fish on to take the picture, because how this sport works is it's catch, photo, release.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So bass boat tournaments, they go by the weight.
Right.
They put them in their live well. They show them off at the weigh-in station.
Yeah.
And it's funny. People ask, "Hey, where's your fish at?"
I put it back. Yeah. Yeah.
But that's how it works. So we put the fish down on the board, as we take a picture of it, and there's certain.
But there's not. You don't just take a picture. There's a lot of rules with the picture.
So it's got to be face to the left, belly oriented down.
Yep.
And you can't have your hand up underneath the gill plate, and some of these rules.
Mouth has to stay closed.
Mouth has to be, So it's to prevent you from gaining extra length.
Yeah.
That the fish really isn't,
The other thing is which I think is cool is let's say you're going to do this tournament and you show up, and that's when you get this number or this card, and like a business card, or you can whatever, and that has to be in the photograph. So you can't just go, I caught this bass last week, I put it on the measuring board, I'm going to use this one. for this.
Yeah.
It is.
It's been tried.
I can imagine. Yeah, because you put the fish back, and I mean you release them. Yeah. So, but yeah, so you have this number, and so in the picture while you're on a kayak, this is a sport. I mean, you have to balance this board. You have to put this fish on, get the hook off the fish.
Get it out of the mouth.
Yeah. And then put your pole down. Don't lose your paddle. Don't lose this. And you get your phone out. Yeah. Put this fish down here. Don't hold it too tight. Make sure the mouth is closed. And put it on this board. Measure it. Take a picture. Put the card in there so that it's in the picture.
Gotta be in the picture.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can write on your hand.
Yeah.
If it's just an identifier.
But it's not just. So it's not just. I'm gonna get in the kayak and I'm gonna fish.
There's a lot to it. Yeah.
There's a lot to it.
It is. But you catch on to it real quick because either in a tournament setting.
Yeah.
Your inches are deducted. So if you don't abide by the rules, you're penalized.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's been guys that if they're not back to check in on time, they're DQ'd. Their fish are.
That's a great point. So if you've paddled 30 minutes down the river, you have to keep up with what time you have to be back at that dock.
That's right. Yeah.
To turn in your stuff, because you can't just like text someone the pictures and like, well, I'm going to stay out 2 more hours. Yeah. You have to be back. So you've got to take that in consideration. I got to leave myself 35, 40 minutes to get back.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, on the big lakes that we fish, for the Hobie Bass Open Series, if you fish with us some more on, WTBY, we go to Kentucky Lake, of course, Pickwick, Bay Springs, but you could be, pretty far away. I mean, I have been 7-8 miles, if not further, away from the ramp.
Wow.
And had to leave my fishing 45 minutes to an hour.
So do you know when you're that far away, do you know how long it's going to take you to get back?
Generally.
Okay.
I mean, I have a good idea.
Yeah.
And I know I'm pretty tired, so
right.
might be a couple of stops.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, the way it used to be since COVID, I really like it the way it is now with the national tournaments and even WTBY. We're doing it.
That's the West Tennessee
Bass Yackers.
Bass Yackers, yeah.
So we do it too. We've changed up the way we do our weigh-in. So whereas before we would all meet up, beforehand, and we, like I said, we're starting to do it more now. But you had to be there at a certain time,
right?
And before you ever even fish, and then you got to be back at a certain time.
Yeah.
Submit all your fish. But on our bigger lakes, you have plenty of time to get back to the ramp and all that kind of stuff. Or in the national scene on the Hobie Trail, KBF, we have an app that we use called Tourney X.
Okay.
So you upload your fish to this application, and there's judges on the other end that judge your fish, accept it, disapprove, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So you kind of have a little bit of time afterwards, and you can submit your fish all throughout the day.
Right.
And then you have that freedom, luxury, just to kind of take your time getting back and all that kind of stuff.
And so all right. So tell me, there's local area clubs, kind of, right?
Yeah,
like the
stuff,
West. Yeah. And then what's the next level?
It kind of just goes straight to the national scene.
It does.
Yeah.
And that is all season long, like from when to when?
It usually, it usually starts in February. So I'm going off Hobie, and pretty much everybody else does the same.
Which is freezing cold.
Yeah, freezing cold.
Yep.
And February till about maybe October, November.
Yeah.
Usually, at the end of the year, you're having your championships and stuff like that. So,
right. And
so
then,
it goes all year.
So in the group that we're in, the West Tennessee Kayakers, and now you've also been in the national one. Are you? Do you fish?
There's state championship.
Yeah.
I fished that 2 or 3 times.
Okay. And so, the rules are different. That's 5. Is that 5 fish limit?
That's 5 fish actually for 2 days. So your best 5 fish over the course of 2 days.
Okay.
So that's under an organization called CAST. So West Tennessee Bass Yackers is a part of that organization. There's probably 10 or so clubs in Tennessee alone.
And this is what I want everybody. This is why I have you here, because again, if you don't know about bass fishing in a kayak, it's a big thing now. So, yeah. It is a big thing.
Well, I mean, it's
all over the country.
It appeals to a demographic of people that don't, either. Well, I'm not going to say that, because a lot of people, I mean, like yourself.
Yeah.
You said you've been in boats your whole life.
Yeah.
You want to get in a kayak. A lot of guys are getting out of the $80,000 bass boats and fishing in kayaks, because
there's something about it.
There is. I mean, it's like it's like
you're chasing it with your own body strength. And
you are.
Yeah.
It's like the grind, the struggle, just like Memphis. You just can't get away from
it.
Yeah.
Hey, I know. But it's great. That's what we love about it.
Right.
Yeah. So one of the big things I want to talk to you about is how you research before you go to a tournament. I show up and I have fun packing up all my stuff, and I have fun going and buying new lures, and I'm going to get this rig, or I'm going to put this on my kayak, but you're doing research before you go to a tournament. Walk me through what you're researching, and what's your plan and strategy with that?
So this is a good plug for the Lines In website, because I wrote an article on this.
Okay.
So go check it out.
Yeah.
I mean, there's two train of thoughts. In this, most guys, pick one or the other. A lot of guys just they like to go out there and just kind of just fish the day. Just kind of figure it out. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's great. And oftentimes that's a really good approach, kind of depending on the time of the year.
Sure.
But there's with fishing, bass are they're very structure oriented fish. Structure and cover oriented fish.
So what's the difference between the two?
Structure is your ditches, your creeks, your river channels, your humps, your ledges,
the bottom
contour definition of the lake.
Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, it's all the stuff that you can't see that you can see from a contour mapping. So like Garmin, the depth finder that I use, they have a application that you can download. It's called their Active Captain app. And so you have your mapping that's on your unit, but you can also download that same mapping onto your phone, and you can have all your contour definition on there, to where you can look at and research and say, okay, and going back to the kind of bass behavior, they have their different seasonal transitions.
Okay.
So it starts off the very, they're much like us. When it's cold, they want to be warm. When it's warm, they want to be cool.
Okay.
So, you have different depths.
Yep. Temps, water temp.
And they follow these contour lines and stuff. So you kind of you determine the seasonal pattern of what you think that it should be.
Okay.
Like right now, they're spawning.
Right.
The temperatures are, they're right. They're at 60 degrees. We're having warmer days, except for the past couple of days.
Right. Yeah. But so when they're spawning, they're right up.
They're up on the bank.
On the bank, like in what, 8 inches, 12 inches of water?
I mean, a foot or less.
Yeah.
So they're up there, they're spawning, they're doing their thing, and then but before that, they're out in deeper water. They're starting to migrate back to these spawning areas. So it's all of doing your research and determining the best places to look. I like to be, in tournaments, you got 8 hours. My train of thought is you have 8 hours. You need to be as efficient as you can be. So, I'm learning, I'm researching, I'm looking at Google Earth, I'm looking at my Active Captain app.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to learn the areas as best as I can, and to where I can make adjustments out there on the water. Because the last thing that you want to do is say, okay, I'm going to go and fish this, and that's it. You don't want to have those preconceived notions and get locked into that.
And then you're stuck there, and then you're stubborn. That's being stubborn.
That's being stubborn.
And I'm very stubborn. Like, this should be good. Yeah. I'm going to keep doing this for hours, even though I'm not.
That bush looks
I
really good.
know there's a fish in there.
Yeah. So, just having an understanding of the lay of the lake, what's around you. And, in kayak tournaments, you can load up and go to another ramp and put it in somewhere else.
Right.
But, just having all that info, gathered before you get out on the water, that's what the research is all about.
Okay. And so so at what point do you go, okay, what's the water temperature? How am I going to fish in the middle of the lake? Am I going to be up against the... Yeah. So do you just say, okay, my plan for tomorrow is going to be, I'm going to go to the second cove on the right. I'm going to go all the way up into this. And then if that's not, I'm going to give myself 30 minutes or an hour. And if that's not hitting, I'm going to change rods 3 times. And I mean, so walk me through this whole planning thing, because it's not just like, I'm going to get in a kayak and I'm going to go throw some lines in and I hope that I catch a fish. Yeah. It is, how many rods do you carry when you're going to a tournament that are rigged up and ready to go?
Yeah, they're rigged, they're ready to go. I mean, that's another part of it, getting all your equipment ready.
And
that can be time consuming.
Right.
But, everything is about, the conditions, and the conditions change daily and hourly.
Right.
So, what I've learned is wind, plays a really big factor. there's times of the year that it can hurt you, and a lot of times of the year it can help you.
Yeah.
Because we're throwing fake baits at them,
right?
Artificial lures, and what you want to do is try to disguise your lure as best as possible. So being in the wind is often a great thing. But
okay.
It also moves things around. It gets things moving, the bait fish.
Including your kayak. And spins you around. And, yeah.
That is the most challenging part.
It is. Like, can I just sit still for 1 second?
Yeah. Numerous. I mean, I don't know how many adjustments we make in a day.
Yeah.
Hundreds. I don't know.
But so do you, like when you plan and you see the contour of the bottom and you know where you want to go, do you tell yourself, oh, I'm going to try these 3 rods or these 3 rigs, or do you just, once you get out there, you start to make adjustments? Like how planned out are you?
OCD.
Are you?
I mean, here's the thing.
But it pays off.
I think it does. I mean,
did the Army do that? Did the Army give you that? No, the planning part.
Probably.
Because I'm sure that was ingrained in you to plan, to know, just have strategy.
Well, I mean, I get started like 2 or 3 weeks ahead of time because I can't spend 8 hours out in the garage, rigging. So
sure.
I get started ahead of time, and that gives me the opportunity to kind of think things, analyze them, change things. But when you're making your selections, I like to have something that's going to cover every different water depth.
Okay.
So I know you've heard of the chatterbait.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a great lure, but it's a shallow water lure.
Right.
It covers a certain depth range. Now you can get heavier ones and go out deep and all that, but what I'm doing is I'm rigging up something that's going to cover me to be the best or the most efficient lure for fishing different depth ranges and different cover.
Yeah.
So I'll have, a rod rigged up for, pitching and flipping into heavier cover.
Which is what? Pitching and flipping?
Yeah, pitching and flipping.
From your kayak, not from a bass boat, from a kayak.
From a kayak.
Yeah. All right. So explain it.
So, I'll stand up.
Which let's be clear, I don't stand up in mine. I have.
You will in a Hobie.
In a Hobie I will, yeah. But I have stood up, but holding on. It's very unsteady to me. Yeah. So you stand up.
You're so flipping and pitching. You have a lay down or a piece of shallow cover. It could be in the form of bush or
grass,
vegetation, grass.
Okay.
And you're pitching a lure into this, cover
to drop down to the middle of it, or like lily pads or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there's different. You have thick cover, and you have more,
loose, spread apart.
Spread apart type cover. So like a lay down, I would use a jig, something like that for flipping to that. But if I'm going to pitch and flip into some thick matted vegetation, that's a totally different rod, totally different line, bait, and all that.
Right.
So that's heavy line,
so you're changing
heavy rod.
You're changing rod. You're changing bait.
It's just like golf. You have a tool for every job.
There you go. That's it.
I mean, and that's the way I look at it. I mean, some guys, and there's nothing wrong with it. They're going to throw one bait and they're going to throw that bait all day. It don't matter.
That's and
it's not
because it's comfortable. That's the one they're good at.
That's the thing about fishing is what people find what works for them. And they like to stick with it.
Right.
But when you're out on the water again, efficiency is huge. So you got 8 hours, and last thing I really want to be doing is messing with a bunch of re-rigging and all that. Yeah. So I'll have 8 sometimes to 12 rods.
That's not obsessive at all. I have 4. I have 4 rods.
So being fair, when I go fishing by myself, just fun fishing, I'll have 4, 6, something like that.
But for a tournament, you are in a kayak. You are carrying 10 to 12 fishing rods.
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, if you're really
and are they all different?
They're all different.
Every one of them.
Different actions. So rods. Again, like golf clubs. They have different actions. They're fast actions. More moderate actions. So your rod or different baits require a different style of rod. Like a light crankbait. You don't want to throw that with a 7.6 extra heavy action
7
rod.
foot 6 inch long, extra
heavy rod.
It's not going to bend.
Right. It's not going to give. You need something that's a little bit more limber. So like a 7 foot medium moderate action rod, which means you have more parabolic bend throughout the rod. That's going to launch that lure a lot more effectively.
Okay.
So that's where you get into the 8 to 12 rods. Is everything's different.
And so in the last few years, when you started to where you are now, did you just research this? Do you talk to other people? Like I do feel like it's a sport that people share, and they help you. It's not.
Yeah, there used to be an era, and I think there still is. Anglers kept all the secrets.
Oh, absolutely.
But I think more so, especially in kayak fishing.
That's what I think.
Guys like sharing information with each
That's
other.
exactly what I think, because I've always known, and you're not going to go, oh, where'd you catch that? And what? But
yeah,
there's a lot of
hold some info.
Of course, but there's still a lot of people who it's like they want to go, oh, this is good, or for this, or I use this bait, or or I tried over here. But they might tell you, oh, here's where I go catch a huge bass every time I come. They're not going to say that, but it is much more sharing and encouraging people who like me who show up at a tournament who just like have all the stuff and now what but it's really fun because I do think, and people are like, hey, you have any luck? Like that's so great on the lake. Like someone paddles by and go, you have any luck over there? And you're like, yeah. And I always say, no, no, kinda, not really.
You want to see your friends do well.
Yeah.
Especially in our club, these guys, we see each other all year long.
Right.
You develop really close relationships with them, friendships. A lot of guys, they will rent houses together and stay in lodging before the night before. And so just naturally, you're all out there experiencing the same thing that you have a passion for.
Right.
You want to talk about it. It wouldn't be no fun if everybody just sitting there, locked down.
Right. But if someone, just thinks about fishing or a bass tournament or the people on TV and this, you think they're not telling anybody where they're going, what they're using, all this. That's their information, and I don't feel that the kayak community is like that.
No, it's not.
I don't. I think it's really cool, and I think that's what's welcoming and inviting, which is I think made the sport kind of explode. I think a lot of people are still kind of learning, and everyone's sort of encouraging it. It's building this big community.
It is.
Across the country.
It's just it's reachable for a lot more people too. Boats are more affordable. Entry fees for tournaments are more affordable. You don't have to put fuel in your boat.
Right.
So you're saving a lot of money versus guys that go out and buy $65,000 to $80,000 bass boats. And then they have $2,000 entry fees.
Right.
Our entry fees max right now are $250. And first place winners are taking home upwards of $10,000.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's a lot of money.
And I'll bet you that anybody listening who's never even heard of this is like, what?
Okay, so we'll blow your mind even more.
All right.
2018 Kayak Bass Fishing National Championship gave away $100,000 first place. $100,000
for bass fishing from a kayak.
We had 800 anglers,
but still
on Kentucky Lake. But
holy cow, that's a lot. But still,
$100,000.
That's what I'm saying. From 0 8 years ago to $100,000 purse in a few years, it's a sport and it's fun.
Yeah, that was a big turning point for kayak fishing. Now they've had tournaments. It's been around for a while.
Yeah.
But I would definitely agree with you. Once I got involved in this, like around 6 years ago, 6-7 years ago, from that point forward, it is just exploded.
Yep.
You got Hobie Bass Open Series started out as just one event a year, a promotional event on Kentucky Lake. It was June 1st, ledge season. Everybody's out there catching giants. But so it was just so successful. A lot of people liked it. It turned into a series.
Right.
And the people were there to participate in it. We have 150 people participating in these events, traveling all over the country.
Yeah, the one I was looking at, you could go Georgia, Alabama, Texas, all the way up to Maryland, the Chesapeake Bay.
Yeah.
And
Lake St. Clair. Just all over the place.
Yeah, which again, I just think it's a lot of fun. It's cool, and even though you do have all these accessories and you can rig your kayak out, all this, it is a low barrier of entry to be in this sport.
$30 West Tennessee Bass Yacht.
But also if you, and I was going to ask you, because I would love to put this on my website or with the podcast. If someone came to you and goes, I've never done this, but I would love to try it. Give me a list of what I need. Feel free kayak. I'm not buying a Hobie, right? Right out of the thing.
Right.
But what's a good kayak that I could get into that if I didn't stay with it, I'm not gonna go broke.
Right,
but $1,500, $1,000, whatever it is, you can get a kayak, a paddle, 2 rods and reels. Here's some bait, a tackle box. I would love if you put me just like a list together and said, hey, if you wanted to try this, if you want to get into it, $1,500 is your barrier of entry. Yeah. Where if you want to get a bass boat, you're not in the game.
Yeah.
You can't play.
Yeah.
And because I would love to, if somebody, even if one person, it could be a year from now, 2 years, and they were like, that does kind of sound fun.
Yeah.
Maybe me and my buddies might want to do that. And then we have some couples in the West Tennessee.
We do.
The male and women and men fishing.
Yeah, this is not just a man's deal.
No.
I mean, we have one of the best anglers on the national circuit. She's great.
Yeah.
Fisher. I mean, she's a hammer. I can't
right.
lie. She
Yeah, she's good.
Yeah, I mean it's
But I would love to get a list from you and go, here's a brand, and I'm not saying, pick a brand that whatever. I'm just saying here's a good decent brand or size. Here's a couple of rods and reels, some line, lures, the stuff to get you started. Like if you had this, you could start.
Yeah, we can do that.
Because I think that would be a cool thing for people who haven't been into it.
That was a big thing for the starting the website and the podcast too.
Yeah.
Because I mean you put that information on the website. I mean, dude, I'm sure you're on Facebook.
Sure.
You've been on the the kayak fishing pages.
Yeah.
People ask the same questions.
Right.
Day in, day out.
Yeah.
And I mean that was a big reason for me to want to do that, is to have that information there.
Uh-huh.
So, hey, look, this is a good recommendation
right.
for you. This is how you get started. This is how you get started in tournament fishing.
Yep.
All that great stuff.
Yeah. So when so you're into this and you're enjoying it. So tell me how you made the decision one day that you're just going to start videoing yourself. Like, where'd you get that from? Where'd that confidence come from? Where'd you go, you know what? I think I'm pretty good. I'm going to talk to people on my phone, on my camera and post it. Like that's how I found you. I saw you. So to me, think about this. To me, you're the expert. You're the expert. Like you're the only person that I know anywhere around, and you're putting videos about kayak fishing. So to me, I'm watching every one. I'm like, this is the guy. This is the guy. Whether you think you are or not is irrelevant. You put it out there, and that's what people are drawn to. They're like, wow, this guy's doing it. So what gave you that confidence? I think I'm going to post some videos about it. And you were very comfortable with them.
I think it's you're out there by yourself a lot of times. And people don't you can tell somebody a story, but they can't they don't know how to experience it with you. So I mean, having the camera rolling, I mean, it's cool to be able to go back and like look at your own catches and stuff and capture some footage from it. But you get to share those moments with other people, and I mean, it's just I just love it. It's just a passionate thing of mine. So
you wanted to share that, So you wanted to share it like almost from your viewpoint, your perspective.
Yeah, like check this out. I mean, I'm out here.
Because you have GoPro. I mean, you have GoPros, 10 or 12 rods. You've got you have fish finders. You're totally rigged out. Right? Yeah. Up, out, whatever. But, but that's cool to me because, I could get a kayak and go, I'm going to keep it in my dock and my slip and it'll be fun. I'll get it every once in a while. But when I see people like you and you're out there and you've got, you're catching these fish and you're catching these bass and in these tournaments, and then you're telling someone like me on video, like, oh, this is where I am this morning. Look at the sunrise, and here, here's where I am. This is what I'm doing. It's very cool because it's something that's not. You can find almost anything out there in the world, but it's sort of in a newer space. It's not to you because you've been in it, but for most of the population, it's new.
You just almost wish like everybody was out there with you,
experiencing
and
that
sunrise with
so you can, because there's no more like, oh, I caught one that was this big, and there wasn't,
Yeah, I mean, I was like so glad Russell was right there when I caught that 10.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, he was just excited. And if somebody, I mean, I've done that with other people. Fishing with other people, they catch big fish. I'm going nuts with them.
So the one tournament that I was in with you, you didn't know it. You didn't know that I was, flailing around everywhere, and catching, getting hung up and whatever. Until I got mad and I left. I was like, I'm out of here.
I thought I heard somebody yelling.
Yeah, pretty much. Like an hour before it was over, I'm like, you know what? I'm not pulling up with these other 40 kayaks, and they're all they caught all this fish, and I'm like, I'm out. I loaded my stuff up.
My last tournament on Lake Dardanelle, I caught 3 fish. I was supposed to catch 10. So trust me, you're not.
You know what it. Yeah. And so while we were there, you caught your personal best ever?
Personal best that I actually had a scale to weigh.
Really?
Yeah. So I've caught a few other pretty big ones. I actually caught, so we had our state championship.
Mm-hmm.
We hosted. I mean, we hosted the West Tennessee Bass Hackers, and it was all the Lexington, Tennessee lakes, the Beach River watershed lakes.
Yeah.
Well, I was fishing that same lake, Browns Creek, and I caught a 24.25 inch, and I won a boat, big bass, for the state championship. So
what?
That's my longest.
Okay.
But I didn't have a scale. I was shaking like a leaf on a tree.
I'm sure.
I mean, I was, I didn't want it to die because I was like, trying to get it back in the water. But so I've caught a couple others. I caught another one out of Gibson County. It was 23, and I've caught a few others.
And you're doing the same thing that you always do. It's just one time you might get a 12 inch, and
you just never know.
Yeah.
But that was a perfect day, man. I mean, the fish are moving up. They're starting to get ready to spawn. So that's when those bigger fish are more susceptible to fall for those lures.
Right.
So I mean, it was overcast too. Everybody thinks.
I think that was like 4 seasons that day.
It was.
It rained. Because when I came home, I'm like, oh yeah, it was fun. It rained. It was windy. Then the sun came out, like a whole different spring day. Then this crazy wind picked up, and everybody went, oh, that sounds real fun. But it was. It was great.
But the interesting thing is, everybody wants to be out there when it's bright bluebirds, sky day, beautiful sunny. Those are boating days.
Sure.
Those aren't always the best fishing days. The best fishing days. Anybody's listening, if you want to go catch a giant fish,
here you
wait
go.
until around April or early May and go out there when it's nasty. When it's raining, it's overcast, it's cloudy. That's when the big fish bite.
Really?
That's when you can catch a lot of fish too. Yeah.
Okay.
Because
cloudy, overcast.
The light penetration, they can see your bait. Especially when you have no wind, when it's just calm and still.
Mm-hmm.
It gets really difficult to catch fish under those conditions. So
right.
The best are those overcasts. So Ghost River, you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Billy Ross Stoll does guiding out there. Has some of his best days.
Oh, I've even caught fish on Ghost.
Yeah. In February when it's snowing.
Wow.
Best days.
Yeah, you'll have to come and do that. I'll go.
We need to go before it gets hot.
Yeah. It's definitely an experience. Yeah. It's not just I'm going to kayak this little river for a little bit.
Right.
All right. So we talked about how it's scored. This is in length, and it's the top 3.
Yeah. For our club and the cast organization, it's 3. Other clubs do 5, and then your national tournament trails, they're usually 5.
Over 2 days. The 5?
Well, so Hobie Bass Open Series, it's your 5 best each day.
Each day.
So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just that state tournament championship, we do it that way.
Yeah. And so we talked about research. And we kind of been mainly going towards people who haven't done this or seen it, and I hope we've interested them enough to at least look it up and see. But let's talk about the people. Let's talk about the people who follow you and that are that already do this. So give me some some tips or things that they could do to improve. Like me, I have a kayak, I have rods, and whatever.
Yeah.
But so what are some of the things that you do that's made you good that you could recommend to somebody who's kind of already in this but would want to be a little better? Give me a few things.
I'm not a very patient person, but I've grown patient, and that is everything about fishing revolves around patience.
Yeah.
So waiting on the bites and all that. But what kind of the direction I took it was. And I didn't really do it intentionally. It just kind of happened this way. But I just started with one bait. I learned a different technique every year. Instead of
having
trying to do
5 different rods, doing it all.
Yeah,
that's a great point, because I went straight for I'm doing it all.
Yeah.
I have all these different baits, these different rods, and I don't probably know how to use any of them, right?
There's nothing wrong. I'm not saying just buy one lure and fish
the
entire year.
No,
but, you have different things. But, take something that you're not comfortable with and just do it. And kind of let that be something that you fall back on, or maybe you let it be your starting bait. Again, we're talking about somebody that's just starting out or something like that, or, or just been in a little while.
Right.
So you're take a jig, take a year to learn how to catch fish and gain confidence on catching a jig. That's the big thing, confidence. Because I mean, realistically.
And what would you recommend for someone? How do you learn to do that? Watch videos on YouTube, read up about it, go with somebody.
Yeah, I mean, watch some videos, or if you have the resources, get a guide.
Yeah.
Let them take you out.
So are there kayak fishing guides?
Not really.
Okay.
There is one out in Texas.
But there's bass fishing guides.
There's bass fishing.
Of course, sure.
But
okay.
I mean, I know of a couple, but it hasn't. I've kind of thought about doing it.
Right. I know, because one of the questions I have for you is, would you work to teach someone to do it? Like, would you give up one of your fishing days to kind of help someone understand and learn it?
Absolutely.
Because it just breeds more people to the sport, which I think is great. More camaraderie, more fun.
Well, once you get out there and you start catching fish, and then you start having fun. That's when it's fun.
Absolutely.
That's what's one.
And then you want to go back, and you want to go back.
And
how come you? Yeah, exactly.
So just start off, just try to learn something, get good, get confidence at something, one bait every year.
Yeah.
Let that be your primary deal that you try to do.
Yeah.
And then just like this year, something I've been working on is jerk baits. I've never really liked throwing a jerk bait.
Yeah.
It's difficult to do from a kayak because the way you have to work it, you got to be you have to stand up mostly when you're doing it. But it was something I need to get better at. So I've been taking this year and like, hey, when I'm not, I'm going to start out with a jerk bait today. I'm going to start throwing it. And it's a great bait.
So you're learning. It's like you're learning. You're teaching yourself, seeing what it feels like.
And you're gaining confidence. Because here's the thing. Most people overthink fishing so intensely. I mean, but we're talking about brains this big.
Right.
So there are the best baits for the best conditions, just like there's the right tools for the right job.
Yeah.
But once you start getting that confidence in those different baits, then you know how to apply them to those different situations that you're faced with.
To give yourself the best opportunity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, like, the spinnerbait, great bait for...
Which I've caught fish on spinnerbait.
Yeah.
I like it because I can feel it.
I do the same. It thumps, you feel it moving. But it's a great bait for overcast, cloudy conditions.
Okay.
You change up your blades, depending on the time of year, stuff like that.
Right.
Situations, the water clarity. But once you start getting confidence in that, and then you know how to apply it. When you're faced with those conditions, you say, "Okay, I remember.
I'm going to do this.
I need to throw a spinnerbait."
Yeah, yeah.
Same thing with topwater. Jigs, bottom dragging lures.
I think that's a great takeaway for people who might already have, like I said, kayaks and fishing, to just practice on one thing.
Yeah.
Until you get that down, and that works for you.
Just get that confidence.
Yeah, yeah. That's a great takeaway. Okay. Dessert. Hold on. Let's see. Hold on. Where's
I feel bad, man. You served all this food. We haven't ate much.
That's all right. That's what we have to-go boxes for.
There we go.
Okay, look. So this is how I work. I work on scramble on the fly. So I'm doing caramel cake, and look what you brought. Look what I brought you. Strawberry cake. As soon as you said that, I looked over at Elizabeth, and she was like, so she went next door and got you some strawberry cake.
Wow,
yeah. And I've got caramel cake, layer cakes. Really yeah. Here, take a bite.
No, man.
Yes. All right. So we move into the dessert round. I call it short and sweet, where we just do some rapid fire questions. I'm fascinated by your skill, your planning, your knowledge of it. You've obviously dedicated time, energy, money to get better. And to me, in any sport, any activity in life, business, whatever it is, that's what it takes. Right. You have to dedicate. You have to have the want, and you have to practice.
Yeah.
You have to work on it, and you have to be dedicated. You can't just give up, or you'll never be good.
Right.
Yeah. So, congrats on that.
Thank you.
All right. I'm gonna grab you right as you take a big bite of that strawberry cake. Sorry. Favorite quote? You got one?
Oh.
One your dad gave you, or?
Oh man, I tried to study for these.
Did you? Did you? I added this one.
So I was peeping on your video.
So I'm gonna tell you what. I'll tell you a couple of mine. So mine is one, and live out today. Be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. I mean, that happens to me constantly. And I was on a call today with QVC. I had a really good show last weekend where I was on the second channel, but I was by myself for an hour. I had 6 different items. I was on for an hour. There was no host, so I hosted the show. So I'm the host and the guest. Anyway, it's new to them. They just started it in January on the second channel, and and I did it once. I did pretty well. I did it last time, and I did more than anybody's ever done since they started that, which is great.
Yeah.
Because you think, oh, I'd love to have an hour show on TV, and then it's be careful what you wish for, because then they're like, oh, could you do this next Saturday? Could you do it the Saturday after that? I'm like, you know. Yes. But so that's one of mine. Be careful what you wish for. You might get it.
that's a good one.
What about your first job?
So I worked at a golf course.
Did you?
Wedgwood Golf Course.
Wedgwood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Best job ever.
What'd you do? Because the beer cart girls. What was it?
Yeah, definitely wasn't good enough looking for the beer cart. Yes, I mean, various stuff. You know, I actually worked there twice. I worked there starting out. Well, I was on the golf team. I was on the high school golf team, so you know, I got free golf. That was the appeal.
Yeah.
But you know, just wash carts, just basic, just small stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I was ride the ball picker up, the thing that everybody hits at, you know.
Oh yeah. Yeah, with the cage around it, and yeah. One thing you still have from childhood.
I have a blanket that my grandmother, my mama, she sewed together.
That's what we call my grandmother, mama.
Mama, yeah, she I got some donkeys on it. My little daughter, she uses it a little.
Does she really?
But yeah, it's I don't know how I still have it.
Wow.
It's in our closet.
That's cool. That's cool. What's something you can't do?
I cannot do math on the fly.
Really?
I'm not good at. I was telling her earlier, we were talking about accounting.
That's funny.
Yeah, I'm not good with math on the fly.
I'm pretty good at that. That is funny because people wouldn't expect it from me, you know. But I can do it pretty quick in my head.
I'm jealous. I mean,
I can be on QVC. I know how many we've sold, what the price is, how much that is total. Like I can do that all in my head while we're talking, and sound, you know, I know where I am. I know how many I started with. You know, pizza topping.
I love jalapenos.
Oh, me too. I like spicy foods. I love jalapenos.
I mean, you know, pineapple. I mean, I'm sorry.
No, oh my God, I was gonna kill you. Yeah.
I said that intentionally because I heard it.
Yes, I know. There's pineapple people. I get it.
No,
jalapenos great.
Pepperoni and jalapenos. Pretty good.
What about vacation spot?
Florida.
But
we recently went to Colorado for the first time.
Colorado. The Rocky Mountains are beautiful.
That's so beautiful.
It's amazing. Where'd you go out there?
Colorado Springs.
Okay.
And I mean, it was so much fun. I mean, we got there in May.
Oh yeah.
When we touched down, I mean, there was snow on the ground still, but then the second half of the vacation, it was, you know, warm, 70 degrees. So we were able to get out, walk around. But we did a really cool. We did the train ride through the Gulch. I can't remember what it's called, but I mean, it's really cool setting. I mean, you're like in this, you know, upscale
train car,
train, and you're going through this gulch, and you know, you get to see all the historic stuff, like how they built the water lines and all that. I mean,
right.
And it's all still there, but it's really neat. It just kind of takes you back.
That's really cool.
Put you back in
right how it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it blasted through the mountains to run the track, and that's cool. Yeah, that's cool. Where do you want to go that you've never been?
Alaska.
Alaska.
Yeah.
Really?
I don't know.
Since you brought that up, this is a terrible segue or thing, but that's where kayaks were started, with Eskimos in Alaska, North America.
That's right.
They made them out of whale bones and animal skin. I researched it, but it really is in North America, in Alaska, and it was Eskimo that they used it. It was for because it kind of stands for like hunting boat or whatever. So anyway, that's weird.
It's pretty interesting.
I've never been to Alaska, and I would like to go. I would like to do. I know that those cruises are great, and I would probably do that. But excursions off of them look. I mean, some look amazing.
Well, after our last, 2021 pandemic
oh my
snowstorm
gosh,
that we
seriously,
I was like, no, I don't think I want to go to
You be prepared. You'll be prepared there.
Yeah.
What are you watching? What do you binge watch? Don't say kayak videos. Give me something good.
No. You gotta have a break from all that. Man, we're kind of in a lull right now. My wife just mentioned it last night. We gotta find a new show.
Yeah.
But I've watched the Game of Thrones twice.
Have you? I've never seen it.
I've watched Breaking Bad 2 or 3 times.
But I think that's one of the best shows
it's awesome.
ever made.
It is.
I didn't watch it when everyone was watching it. I watched it a couple of years later, and I still remember I could not stop watching it. And that at that time, I flew all the time. So for 20 years of my career, I've flown back and forth to Pennsylvania for QVC once or twice a week. So I could be on 200 flights a year.
Wow.
So I'd seen every show, whatever. Breaking Bad, I'm like, I'll give it a shot. It was great. And I remember I was at home on the final episode, and I was halfway through it, and I turned it off. I said, I didn't want it to end. I was so in it, I did not want it to end. I remember going outside, like 15 minutes, and I'm like, I'm going to go back. All right, I'm going to finish it. But it was like I just knew that I didn't want it to end. I didn't want to see what happened. I didn't want it to end.
It's not like The Walking Dead that's been going on for years.
No, you knew it ended. And
I mean, it's like, it was disappointing to see it end. But then they came out with another show, Better Call Saul.
I know, and I watched that too.
Yeah.
It's good. I think I was so into Breaking Bad, I was like, that's not quite the same. But it's a good show.
We both agree. Me and my wife were like, man, it's just not the same.
I know.
Although Saul, the story is interesting, but have you noticed since TV shows have become like the popular thing? Like when you see a character or an actor that played in a TV show, you see them finally in a movie, you're like, wait, no.
Yeah, that's that guy.
That's better.
That's Saul.
That's Saul. No, he's better than Saul.
Exactly. Exactly.
You can't just release
especially with these, with Netflix and the streaming networks and things like that, because you get used to that character all at one time in one time period. Because with regular network shows, it's every week, it's once a week. So you know them. But you're not watching them for 6 hours because, at a time. Yeah. No, I agree. So how do you like your steak cooked on your Traeger?
Medium rare.
Medium rare. That's good. Okay. What's a value that you live by? Give me a sort of.
And honesty.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm not a good liar.
Well, that's a good quality.
I mean, I just like being upfront with people.
Yeah.
Probably a little bit more bold at times.
But that's all right. No, I think that people appreciate that.
And that's the military.
But that's a great quality. Yeah. That is. That's good quality. Well, man, it was awesome to have you.
I had a blast.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you think did you think it would be easy? Hard? Were you nervous?
No, I was. I didn't really know what to expect. I just kept an open mind. I was like, man, this is cool.
Because I just kind of reached out to you from the blue. You're like, wait, what?
Well, I wasn't totally sure. I was like, man, is he wanting me on just because of that one fish? Or,
No. I had seen your videos, and I kind of got involved. And so when I knew that I was going to do this podcast for a long time, and I keep notes on my phone, and I keep lists of guests and potential guests and people that I want to interview or get to know or whatever. Yeah. And before I knew who you were, watched your video, anything before that, I had on there kayak fisherman, like somebody in this business. And then you pop up on Facebook. You join a group, and then I see your video, and then you have this thing. And so then I go to that tournament, and I saw you, and then you catch this enormous fish, and I'm like, I want to have him on. I want to have him on. So because I want you to share I wanted you to share your passion, excitement for what you do, because I think everybody has like this awesome thing, and they have a great story. And another part of the reason I wanted to have you on is because your world, your space, your website, your podcast, it's about kayak fishing, but you're also more than that. You serve for our military, you're honest. there's more to it, and so I kind of like to tell the more to it story.
Yeah.
So
it's been a great time.
Yeah, cool. Elizabeth, will you jump over there real quick, right beside that chair, and grab me that? Thanks. So, I've done I'm not an artist or anything like that whatsoever, but I do like to give people some pictures and stuff. So I did this picture for you, of that day.
Oh wow!
and so I didn't take the photograph. I stole it from whoever took it. But anyway, I darken them and harshen them up a little bit, and then I go back and put a piece of it in color.
Yeah.
And I name them and I sign them. But I called this one "It's a Giant" because on your video you're like it's a giant, and I'm like, when I do that, and I'm naming it "It's a Giant," and it is. Hold it up, put it right to this screen. Let's see. Can you get it? There you go. Yeah. So anyway, that's your giant fish you caught that day.
Man, I appreciate that. That is probably one of the best gifts I've had, honestly.
So yeah, now, there's so many things you can't, buy people or give, and so over the last few years, I've always taken pictures and I have them framed in my house, and I like art, and I've given a little bit here and there out. And people appreciate it. So anyway, I hope you enjoy it.
Well, I hope you enjoy your lures.
Hey, dude, let me tell you something. So I'm going to expect these lures that you brought me to catch fish, not just fish. No, how it would be so great. I can't wait to have this one catch a fish, and this is hanging out of its mouth, and I'm going to say, it was the lure, Justin Patrick. So at the end, let's wrap this up. Tell me, let's go through S.Y. Wilson. You want to thank?
Yeah, S.Y. Wilson, they're my biggest sponsor.
Okay.
They're out in Arlington, Tennessee, biggest or the kayak manufacturer for this area. So
yeah.
If you want to go check them out, be sure to check them out. And if you want a boat, you need to
pre-order it.
Yeah, you need to get on it because they're
not
going.
This year. You're not going to get them.
But they do got a pretty good stock now. They got Hobie Outbacks, some 360s, and quite a few others. They just got Jackson kayaks in too.
Yeah.
So they got everything. They have a pretty diverse.
Jackson's great too. That's a great kayak. Yeah.
Good kayaks. Primary tackle, they've been good to me, and White Bass Tackle Industries, Katana Hooks, and my most recent sponsor, Little Miami Outfitters. They make rods.
Cool.
I hooked up with them and been using their rods. I actually used that rod, one of their rods, to catch that fish.
No, you did not.
Yeah. So he was excited. He just kind of got started with his rod company.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to building it.
Yeah, that's great.
Getting it out there. But
and then your Facebook, Justin Patrick Fishing.
Yeah.
That's very easy to remember.
Justin Patrick Fishing on Facebook and on Instagram.
And Lines End.
Lines End is the Facebook page.
Okay.
And then Lines End Yak Fishing.
Is the website.
Yep.
Great.
And
that's
we just
where
got
the podcast.
on YouTube too. Lines End Yak Fishing.
Great. Well, I like to end every podcast with I hope you enjoyed the meal and great conversation.
Yeah,
I did. And my hope is to inspire everyone listening to call up an old friend or someone they want to get to know better, invite them to a meal, and have a great conversation.
Absolutely.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks,
all right.